I don't often swear in law vlogs, but there is stupid and there is stupid. And this is so stupid, I don't even know why I'm doing a law vlog on it. Apparently there's an Indian man named Raphael Samuel, who is suing his parents for having given birth to him without his consent. If your brain hurts from listening to that, imagine what mine is doing right now. Yes, he's suing his parents for giving birth to him without his consent, and he's suing them to pay for him for his life because he never agreed to come into this earth. Okay, he has a Facebook page where he purports to be an anti-natalist. Why this drives me so crazy is because it's clearly a publicity stunt and the media is running with it as a story. I'm running with it, I'm doing a law vlog on it, but only because I think there's actually something meaningful that we can learn from this from a legal perspective. Okay. He's suing his parents for having given birth to him without his consent. Both of his parents are lawyers, which adds a little extra fish to this broth, and both of them support him in his endeavor. The mother is quoted as saying that if he can show where my fault was, I will gladly be held responsible. Alright, accepting that it's a publicity stunt and the world has run with it
because the world has apparently gone mad,
let's tackle this from a legal perspective. For those of you who don't know me, I am Viva Frei. I'm a Montreal litigator turned YouTuber. I'm an actual lawyer, but I'm only certified to practice in Quebec. In Quebec, in order to sue someone for damages, you have to prove three things: the fault, the damages, and the causal link between the two. If you don't prove fault, you don't succeed on a claim in damages. If you don't prove damages, you don't succeed on a claim in damages because you've sustained no damages in virtue of which you can sue. And if you don't prove the causal link between the two, then you cannot prove that the allegedly faulty act caused the damages sustained, hence lawsuit fails. In order for Raphael Samuel to succeed on his claim, and assuming that the Indian legal system abides by the same principles as Quebec civil law, which is by and large how the common law system of Canada and the US works, you have to prove fault, a tort. What could possibly be the tort? He's going to create a new tort, which is the act of giving birth to a newborn without the newborn's consent. Okay, it doesn't matter. This is going to fail, and it's going to fail hard. It might even fail at a preliminary stage, and that's where we're going to get into some interesting law stuff about this. A lawsuit will fail on the merits if the essential elements that had to be proven were not in fact proven. So in a case of extra contractual liability where you have to prove fault, damages, and a causal link, you would have to prove the fault of giving birth to a child without his or her consent. The damages, what damages? Even by this kid's own admission, his life has been wonderful. He has nothing to complain about. So he hasn't sustained any damages, and then you have to establish the causal link between the fault, which, if this guy ever succeeded, would be the fault of giving birth to a newborn without the newborn's consent, the damages, which are no damages because even by this guy's own admission his life has been great, and the causal link. In law, whereas you have a dismissal of the suit once evidence has been adduced, you have what we call in Quebec motions to dismiss at a preliminary stage, before any evidence has been adduced. And these motions to dismiss are interesting because they are predicated on the assumption that all of the allegations are in fact true in the motion, and notwithstanding the fact that all of the allegations are presumed to be true, the case has no reasonable chances of success for any number of reasons. So let's assume that opposing counsel tries to get Raphael Samuel's case dismissed at a preliminary stage, and would make a motion to dismiss in virtue of which he would assume that everything Raphael Samuel is alleging is in fact true, that he was born without his consent. Let's go from there. In law, he will have no reasonable chance of success because consent of a newborn or a minor is not required for parents to carry out certain acts that a parent is authorized by law to carry out. A parent doesn't need to obtain the consent of someone who is unable to give consent. And in law, a newborn, a minor, an infant is incapable of giving consent. So assume that it's true, it is still gonna fail as a lawsuit because in law, the consent of the newborn was not required in order for the parent to carry out the act of parenting or guardianship that they carried out for and on behalf of the minor who is incapable of consent. Now, very important distinction here. That is not to say that a minor cannot actually sue their parents or their guardians for acts carried out on behalf of the kid when they were unable to give their consent in law. In fact, it does happen where minors, once they become majors and able to exercise their own civil rights, sue their parents for damages that the parents caused to them when they were minors or under their control. An easy example I can come up with off the top of my head is a parent authorizing or giving their kid a tattoo when the kid was a minor and unable to consent, and the kid becomes a major and says, "Whoa, I don't like this tattoo. This is embarrassing. It's causing me psychological harm. It's going to cost me financial damages in order to have it removed. Therefore, I'm suing my parent or my guardian for an act carried out on my behalf without my consent when they were consenting for me." But even then, there has to be damages. What possible damages could result from being born without one's consent? Whenever I say the sentence, I get angry. It's such a preposterous thing in the first place, but let's just roll with it. What damages could result from being born without your consent? Hypothetically, I could imagine a situation where a parent decided to do some sort of risky delivery, like let's just say delivering a baby while skydiving, and the baby gets injured during the delivery as a result of the parent deciding to deliver that child without his or her consent while skydiving. I can imagine a fault. Raphael Samuel, by his own admissions, has not sustained any damages as a result of being born without his consent. So this case is going to get dismissed. It's probably going to get dismissed at a preliminary stage because it's so preposterous. And like I've always said, you can't prevent anybody from suing you for stupid reasons. But most legal systems are going to have at least what I call a two-tiered system, where the really stupid stuff will get dismissed at a preliminary stage without having to go to trial to adduce evidence. And the other pretty stupid stuff, but not stupid on its face stuff, will get dismissed after a hearing where evidence is adduced and a trial is actually conducted. My prediction, this is not going to trial. This is going to get dismissed at a preliminary stage. It's a publicity stunt. The guy is getting exactly all the attention he wants. Maybe it's even a social experiment, just so Raphael Samuel can see how many people he can actually get to legitimately or sincerely jump onto this anti-natalist bandwagon, and how many people he could seriously convince to legitimately believe that they have a cause of action against their parents for having given birth to them without their consent. Like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell if you like my content, share my channel, talk about it, help me grow. Peace out. Booyah. Don't sue your parents for giving birth to you.